Six Nations game number 2, folks. The Scots and the Italians, 31-19. Looks comfortable enough for the Scots. That's the bonus point win that they would have wanted if they are going to kind of put their hands up to be genuine contenders in this campaign. But the fact that Italy managed to go from 14 points to nil down back to level the scores 19 all early on in the second half will certainly give the Scots a little bit to think about. And certainly Wales for next week, I don't know, man, look to have a really tough game on their hands, because the Italians, despite having not that much ball as we thought might happen, they still look a dangerous side. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was on the couch. Alarm goes off. It's 3 in the morning. I was thinking, geez, do I really want to watch this? Well, the game, thankfully, was the perfect kind of game that gets you alive. It wakes you back up really quickly, because the Scots, early on, absolutely went on the rampage. The Italians will be a bit disappointed with the way that they just couldn't get their hands on the ball early, and when they did, it was often not that clean. The Scots were just punishing them. Duhan van der Merwe, early line break down the left wing, quick phases, 10 plus phases, they get themselves an advantage. And then from the advantage, they're going for the jugular, like not mucking around, wanting to keep the tempo high. 5 metre tap from that main man, Dave Cherry, who was selected to start at hooker. A couple of phases later, Rory Darge, pick and go, try time, 7 points to nil. Phenomenal start for the Scots. It's exactly what they would have wanted. They would have wanted to take the initiative, and they did. The Italians, as I said, when they did have ball, a little bit scrappy. They lose a line out, more Scottish possession. Finn Russell puts an up and under through, which Ioane is able to mark clean enough, so it looks like maybe an opportunity missed. But from the clearance, the line out, the Scots spin it a couple of phases into the midfield, then the hands of these guys, Ritchie to Russell to Kinghorn, van der Merwe into space, and then Hugh Jones, the first of his 3 tries in his player of the match performance. So 14-0 for the Scots. It's about as perfect a start as you could have wanted, although Scotland being Scotland still have to give you kind of heart and mouth moment not too long later, in that Brex puts a kick through and Russell's just leaves it like it's going to go out. It just barely goes out. Menoncello was ready to pounce if it had stayed in field, but yeah, Russell is a cooler customer than I am, but it's a heart in the mouth moment, like I said. Darge was proving himself to be a real menace at the breakdown, kept winning ball, but eventually the Italians did manage to get themselves a penalty, which they slotted through the boot of Tommy Allen to make it 14-3. And then another one not too long later when Darcy Graham, who kind of had a rough first half, certainly classy in the second half, but he got smashed from a line-out play, did old Darcy, and then penalty conceded by the Scots. A great nudge from Tommy Allen. 14-6 is starting to look a little bit less comfortable. Scotland go 13 phases in reply. Dave Cherry's bloody everywhere with the carries, to be fair. Van der Merwe with a break. Capuozzo tackles him. That's a big size difference, but Capuozzo did a really good job to keep a hold of him. Then finally Russell gets tackled. And it's a double tackle, I think, from Canone and Menoncello, so they forced the knock-on from Russell. It's a good defensive set for the Italians to hold, at least to kind of stop the flow of the Scottish momentum as they kind of threaten to wrestle the game back away from them. But then big Sebastian in, blindside flanker from Italy, whose surname I'm sometimes a little bit nervous to say because YouTube's flagged as a slur in the past. He gives away a soft penalty at the breakdown, which is kind of slapping the ball down. And Scotland opt to not go for the 3. They are indeed going for the jugular in this one. They go for touch. They'll line out the maul. That man, Dave Cherry, again, certainly justifying his selection, peels off the back of the maul. Little chicken wing offload to Ben White, and it's try time 19-6. So they've halted the Italian comeback from those couple of penalties. Missed the chance earlier, but got this one, 19-6. You're thinking probably chasing the bonus point before halftime. It's looking like a pretty good day at the office for the Scots. Six Nations campaign going swimmingly, maybe. Wasn't quite that simple. Italy did fumble a passing. It was Capuozzo dropped the pass, which then Russell hacked through. Stafford McDowall chased hard as Garbisi was tracking back, kind of forced him back over the touchline or the try line to make it a 5 metre scrum for the Scots. And you're thinking, definitely the bonus point is on here, but no. The Scots defence holds again. I think it's Garbisi that wins a penalty at the breakdown to get them kind of out of dodge. And then right before half time, they managed to get themselves a penalty at scrum time. Tommaso Allen slots that one. So despite everything going on in that first half, not much ball, and a lot of Scottish attacks, it's 19-9, which is, that's still game on. Nobody's dead and buried at 19-9. Like, Scotland's had 63% possession, 64% territory. They've had 11 defenders beaten to 4. Scotland have only made 38 tackles. The Italians have made 105. But, 10-point ball game, man. That's anybody's game. Still, Italy will still have to come back, but by no means dead and buried. Second half, Scotland start with that kind of same pressure, the same intensity, a load more phases. Schoeman gets himself kind of a half break. The crowd's cheering him on, but I think it's Graham ends up knocking that one on. It's a little bit of a disappointing one. And then the Italians have a real kind of cat amongst the pigeons bit of play, because Menoncello smashes Matt Fagerson. It was a bit of a hospital pass for him. He gets smashed. I think it was Ben White with the floaty pass. Concedes a penalty. Again, the Italians off for the 3, so 19-12. And then Brex with an intercept on Finn Russell a couple of minutes later. It's a gift. Like, Hugh Jones is flat to the line. Russell's trying to pick him out, but Brex is right there. He's right there. You need to hold that one, but he lets it go. Brex goes for the intercept, and suddenly we're all square. We're all square. It's Scottish. It's very Scottish. You had this game, basically, you're going to chase the bonus point and put them to the sword, but now we're all even. But admittedly, the response from the Scots, I think, is initially to get a little bit rattled, but then they managed to kind of pull it out of the fire, which hopefully they'll be better for next week, having kind of had this pressure. I think they're better off having this with a bit of, as I said, a bit of a comeback from the Italians than if they'd had it all their own way. The Scots didn't go for threes again. They went for a maul. Fischetti managed to win himself a turnover at the breakdown to shut down the Scottish attack. Might have been off his feet a wee bit, but Italians hold. But then, as the Scots are just starting to look that little bit rattled, Darcy Graham, goodness me, steps inside, off his wing, in his own half, and Hugh Jones with the support line gets the try to make it 26-19. That's the bonus point. And to be fair, it started with defence. The scrum that this attack comes from initially is from good Scottish defence. So defence, scrum, into attack, back to the lead, back to the bonus point. And then a few minutes later, Hugh Jones with the winner. 65 minutes, attacking scrum, go forward ball, Graham, shift right to Tom Jordan, and then Tom Jordan to Jones. Jones beats multiple attackers. That's his best try. Like, a couple of them were just good support lines, but that one, the third one, the hat-trick try, he beats multiple tacklers, reaches out for the score, 31-19. That's the final score, although Italy kept fighting. Zuliani, if he'd been able to free the hands, could have put JC over, and then JC knocked it on not too long later, so the Italians could have had a try to at least make it a grandstand finish, but pleasing for the Scots, the only try they concede is the one from the intercept, so it does finish 31-19, but Italy were good value for this. They'll rue the start they have, where they don't have any ball, too many missed tackles early, having to make a lot of tackles, but despite all those tackles they made, they actually finished the final stanza of the game with all the ball. So they finished strong despite having to make 208 tackles, which is a bonkers number. The possession finishes 54-43, so Italy a bit more even with that in the second half. Territory 56-44. Defenders beaten 30-16. That's Scotland. Clean breaks 8-4 Scotland. Tackles, like I mentioned, 208, 132. So Scotland certainly a lot more tackling to be done in the second half. Penalty counts pretty even. 8 by Scotland, 7 by the Italians. So the Scots pinged one more time. Individuals like the Scottish backline still dangerous. Kinghorn 110 metres. He was very safe at the back. Graham 107 metres. Beats 11 defenders. Darge makes 13 from 14 tackles and a good defensive shift. Gets himself a try as well. Hugh Jones gets the hat-trick, man of the match. For the Italians, Menoncello, 64 metres, 3 defenders beaten. He was dangerous on attack for the Italians as well. Big Sebastian, as I mentioned, the blind side, 26 out of 27 tackles. Gave away a couple of penalties, but still a real force to be reckoned with. But yeah, both these sides have got very important games next week. Scotland against Ireland at home. If there was ever a time to finally break your duck against the Irish, I know they've beaten them before, but you know what I mean, like break that current losing streak against the Irish, next week would be the game to do it. They've had a challenge from the Italians. They might be in a good position, and for the Italians, they got the home game against Wales, which, I mean, based on this game and based on yesterday's game, surely you'd think the Italians have to go into that one as favourites, but can they handle not being the underdogs? I feel like they perform better when they have that less pressure on them. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. Funny moment at the end where they were doing the post-match interview, and she said to Hugh Jones, "You are the Gallagher player of the match." Oh, Guinness, that's the sponsor, Guinness. There you go. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. I'm off to watch Ireland and England. Take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.